great food. Philippines, I've never been to the Philippines. Someday. Mauritius, hello, welcome. It's good food in the Philippines, by the way. Dorota, have you been to the Philippines?
No, I've never been to Philippines.
Okay, we're gonna have to make that put it on a travel list, a food travel list. Florida, hello. Pakistan, hello. Welcome. Welcome. Couple more minutes. I'm watching the numbers click in here, and then we're going to get started. So the Maldives have joined us. Like I said, literally, it's the whole world. From Greece. Hello. Welcome. And we have a lot of people here who are frequent guests, and some new folks here, which is kind of fun. We always love to see new faces, and also those who join us frequently. Dubai, Philippines have joined. Excellent. Excellent. Well, I think we're going to give it exactly 1 more minute, and then we are going to begin because we have lots to talk about. Dorota is going to share all sorts of wisdom with us today. No pressure, huh? Iran, hello. Welcome. Welcome, welcome. All right. It's nice to see everybody joining. Okay, let's go ahead and begin. So really quickly, by way of announcements, last time we were together, we had this little poll that you all filled out, and it was like, hey, what do you want us to do? What do you want us to talk about? What would be the most meaningful for you? And we have a little list that we have, and one of them that came towards the top was this whole idea of supply chain and how to maybe kind of shorten the distance between where food is produced and where it is cooked, and to better understand that. There's a lot of discussion today around the world about supply chains. A lot of supply chains have been broken due to the pandemic and are being put back together slowly, but we're going to talk about that. So today's theme is coming from you. We love to get your ideas, your input, because we want to be sure that we're actually giving you things that will be meaningful to you. The whole idea is we educate, we inspire, hopefully, and then the idea is, of course, that you, us, me, we all put it into practice, because that's the way we change the world. So we have more of this coming up next month, and stay tuned for what that's going to be, because it's going to be pretty neat. But what I'd like to do is get going for today. I want to introduce our guest, who is very patiently waiting. I would like to introduce Dorota Tanasi-Deneri, who is joining us from Albania. And she is a food enthusiast. She is a consultant. She is an activist. She's done some pretty amazing things. So she is the creator of Luga e I'm going to get this right, Luga e Argenta, which is the first Albanian food blog. And we're going to talk about that today, because today there's like lots of food blogs and everything, but truly she was a pioneer, and it was all about looking at traditional Albanian food, etc. So we're going to talk about that. But Luga e Argenta connects Albanian farmers with, consumers with the farmers and the food producers in a way that's healthier and better for the environment and the economy, which is what we all want, right? So Dorota has worked for more than 20 years in the developing sector all over, in the development sector, I can't read today, all over the Balkans, Europe, and North Africa. She's an agro-environmental engineer and holds a master's degree on public administration and policy from the Central European University in Budapest, and 4 executive courses from the Harvard Kennedy School of Government. Wow, Dorota, welcome.
Welcome. Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
It is absolutely a pleasure. So we're going to get into this whole topic of supply chain. We're going to get into this whole topic of how we can work with the people who are making the food, growing the food, producing the food for us. It's something that I know a lot of chefs are extremely interested in. And sometimes it's kind of a puzzle that needs to be solved. So hopefully today we learn some things from you. But before we do that, tell us just kind of a brief, like, how did you get here? What was your path to becoming this famous food blogger, activist, and changing the part of the world you live in?
Uh, Thank you very much. It was a very weird, pretty story sometimes, but very weird because I've been working with in a development sector in countries in development for almost 20 years since I graduated, and working with United Nations, UNDP, United Nations Development Program. But it was like signed, I always had this close relationship with food. I like to cook. I was grown by my grandmother. We had who has a very strong influence in me. I mean, it's a very known story for a lot of people. A lot of people who loves food. They lived with grandmas and things like that. It's a very common story. But what I saw in these years is that food was kind of accompanying me in all the countries. In some countries, when we had to face starvation, like in North Africa or elsewhere, but also us as Albanians, we had a period. I still remember when we had a long periods of food shortage. So after all this trip, I mean, this journey that I had of my life when I came back to my country 10 years ago, by fate and by accident, I was working within the rural system. So I had to do with food, and I started to collect old recipes and write them down, because in my country, we had this, emptiness of not having written our old recipes, our food history. So what I did, thanks to my job that I was traveling a lot, I started to write, and that's how it began in a very well-known magazine. 11 years ago, I started to write about food, and the rest is history. It became very famous, and by and by, I was trying to understand myself first, and then to talk with my public about the food, about the local products, how I was discovering them, because 11 years ago, people here in Albania, at least, were into Italian food, into Greek food, into Thai food, and leaving behind what was traditional, what was theirs, which is not bad. Italian food, Greek food, it's Mediterranean, but I mean, you have to start from your own cuisine. You have to know what you have grown for generations in your country, what the recipes has been. So they were being forgotten, and this is how it started.
That's really interesting. And you said so many things that we've addressed and talked about before, but this whole idea that so often there's that temptation, if you will, to be captivated by foods in other parts of the world. And you forget that what you have is actually pretty special. That's all over the world. So that's a really important thing. And the other thing that we've talked about before, which I think we'll maybe address here, is that local foods is actually part of the sustainability, solve the issues of sustainability. It's all about local. But first of all, let me ask you, what's in as you've looked at the food systems and you've looked at supply chains and how that all, where's the problem today in how we're doing things?
I will start a little bit, with my story. When I came here and I was looking at the markets, at the green markets, I was, especially in Tirana, in the capital, when you could find everything. I was seeing more, external products rather than domestic products. And I was going and seeing avocados and papaya, and I couldn't find the seasoned food in the supermarkets and the green markets. And I saying, what's going on? Because we are producers, and I was walking to the facts and all the data from the Ministry of Agriculture, and I was seeing that a lot of domestic products was going abroad, like in Netherlands and Northern Europe, and we were eating crap from and fruits and vegetables that were very old, out of season, etc., etc., and said something is happening here. I mean, the system is not working properly, and I was at the same time, Albania is it has a very fragmented territory, like it's uh, it's biodiverse, and you don't have huge quantities of crops. You have different ones. You have a lot and a variety of them, but not a lot. And you couldn't see this amazing variety of crops and vegetables and fruits in the cities, and it was very sad. Yeah, you could see it, but not that much. And a lot of products that were out of season, stored in the fridges, and we didn't get from them. I mean, out of them, you don't get vitamins. Yeah, they are very, very, very expensive, so people can't afford buying. So this was happening, and still happening. I mean, but we are doing a lot of work and efforts to change it. And it's not an event; it's a process. But this was happening back then and still now. And at the same time, our farmers are suffering. Are suffering. To find markets, they and what they do, they can't survive anymore. So we are seeing a lot of youngsters that, I mean, boys and girls, daughters and sons of farmers that don't want to do farmer anymore because they don't get any profit, so they come to the cities. And this is sad, and this is where we have to intervene together with chefs, together with communities, together with consumers that can be co-consumers or co-farmers at the same time. I mean, the system needs to be saved, and we have to intervene.
So we have, listening to you, chefs all over the world, literally just about on every continent except Antarctica. And the question I would ask is, so you see your environment, you see what we see in a lot of places in the world, which is, it's about this sort of global food system that often ignores the local food system. So how do we as chefs, how do we help with that? How do we make that happen? And the second part of that question is, how do we as chefs, how can we educate, and what is our role in educating the consumers about, local foods, local farmers?
Yeah. Building a strong and a positive relationship between chefs and especially local farms. I think I emphasize here local farms is essential for creating a delicious and sustainable cuisine. To this point, I think we do agree. We have to get to know our farmers as chefs. We should take time. We should find time to meet with local farmers and learn about their farming practices, the crops they grow, the challenges they face. We have to have this connection with them. Otherwise, the system breaks, Otherwise, we will be dependent of this criminal food system that we are living in. This will have to understand where our food comes from. I mean, if the chefs, and then from chefs to the consumers, and develop at the same time a deeper appreciation for the work that goes into producing it. It is a lot of efforts from the farmers, and at the same time from the chef. We have to support our local agriculture first. I have nothing against Italian agriculture or cartofi, artichokes, or whatever, but we have ours. We have to do that. And Italians, as I listen from Slow Food International, 70% of fish in Italy is not cooked by Italians. It goes abroad, and this is unbelievable. we can make an offer to source our ingredients from local farms and use seasonal produces in our menus. We have to keep this in mind. We have to be, of course, consumer driven, but also earth driven, also farmers driven, also season driven. We have to go with the nature. We have, otherwise the system will back. We have to collaborate with farmers. We should go close and work closely with local farms to create a sustainable and mutually beneficial relationship. We have to be win-win. Otherwise, it doesn't work, And then we have to share our knowledge. As a chef, us, we have a wealth of culinary knowledge in our hands, so we can share with local farmers that they can prepare and present their produce in a way that appeals our customers, and then give credit to the farmers. Like I used to live in Boston, and we have to have a farmers market, and all the chefs. Used to go to local seafood, and they were saying that this fish is from Cape Cod, and people get to know Cape Cod. It's a mutual. How can I say? Kind of publicity and marketing. So we have to share with our consumers when the food comes from. It builds trust. It builds pride sometimes, etc., etc.
I love that little step you took into marketing, by the way. I think that's great because when we as chefs work with local purveyors, we should use that for marketing. We should put that on our menus as something that we're proud of. That's a source of differentiation. But let me ask you. So one of the things I didn't mention and you didn't mention is that you had a restaurant for 6 years.
Yes,
a really famous restaurant for 6 years. So for everybody listening to you, it's not just that you do food blog and activist, but you actually know our business. You've lived it. Yeah. And so I want to ask you a really practical question. So I'm a chef, and I, wherever I am in the world, and I say, wow, I would love to get closer to farmers. I would love to learn more about local. How do I do it? How do I find the farmers? How do I, what is that first couple steps that somebody can take to start to develop those relationships?
Oh, well, where I mean, I will share my experience. Well, once a week, or at least 2 times per month, I used to get off my restaurant, leave. I used to have 2 chefs and work with them and leave everything to them. Just close my telephone, because turn off my telephone, and then go, and you just randomly in the surroundings of Tirana, in the villages of Tirana, and also out of Tirana region. Tirana is the capital of Albania. So and stop in every farm and meet with the farmers, the owners of the farm, and talk with them, build a relationship with them. It's very important, to do. I know chefs has zero time to spend, because they are, I don't know, they're superheroes, I know, and I know how hard it is to find time to stay with your family. Your restaurant becomes your family, and it's very hard. But if we want to change the world, we have to take some responsibilities ourselves. Otherwise, it's useless that we talk. If we want to change our restaurants into sustainable restaurants, and it's not like a moral thing that I'm stating here. That, I mean, it should be the future. If we want to have a better future for our children, for our nephews, nieces, etc., and also for the world, we have to do some efforts and to stabilize this kind of relationship with our farmers. It will also, because otherwise the food system it will break. If we don't have this relationship, where are they going to sell their food? There will be either part of these multinationals because they will excruciate them with what they are giving and what they are doing. I mean, I'm against them. And I mean, the little farmers, they will disappear. The little butchers, they will disappear. Everything will disappear, and we will have these huge, plans of preparing food. And with the future, it will be totally, different. But we are at the same page here, at the same front. So what the relation between chefs and farms can bring numerous social and cultural benefits to the community and to us. We promote local food culture. Chefs work with local farmers. They are able to showcase the unique flavors and ingredients in the regions. This promotes the sense of pride, as I mentioned. We support small-scale agriculture, which is very important. The flavors, the seasonality, etc. It's linked to the small-scale agriculture. We foster community connections. The relationship with chefs and farmers can foster a sense of community and connection between people who grow food and the people who prepare it. Also consumers can see how much effort, is put in a risotto with zafferano, because when you grow zafferano, it's not a piece of cake. It's very expensive, and and also the weather can put can harm zafferano. So we have to invite consumers in this kind of farm to table dinners, into farmers markets, and bring community get together. It's fun, it's quality time, and it makes this triangle work together towards the same objective.
I love that. I love that image of the triangle, right? So it's the grower, it's the chef, it's the community, and you're right, it pulls it all together. By the way, you said something also that I think is just great for everybody listening. Chefs are superstars. Thank you.
They are.
So two really fast questions, and then we're going to get to your questions. So just briefly, how is the food system today in Albania with local farmers and restaurants? How would you describe it today?
Well, in Albania, as I mentioned before, we have a very fragmented land. It's full of mountains, hills, rivers. But from one part we have this extensive agriculture, which is it has to do with small scale farmers, and we are seeing and we are testimonying a lot of intensive agriculture, that brings about creating big huge enterprises, that can process the food in a very industrial way. And I am very sad sometimes, and that food that goes elsewhere, goes out of Albania. For example, there are parts of the central Albania which is a beautiful field, and when we produce strawberries and we sell them in Northern Europe in green houses all year long. And I'm very sad because I'm a partisan of season food, and when we have these grown food all the year long, and when we have hectares and hectares and hectares of monoculture, we call it, it's very easy also for pathogens and diseases to exterminate. Sometimes when we have biodiversity, we can procure food for everybody. It's very easy to face the climate change, etc. You see what happened in south of Italy with Xylella, that destroyed 3,000 square meters of land with olive trees. 1 million olive trees are exterminated because it is only one cultivar, and they exterminate it. When we have different cultivars and then we have a biodiversity, this can't happen. So I am, of course, for intensive agriculture, but for sure I'm for extensive agriculture, when small and medium farms can live in and then can bring and procure food locally and seasonally. I mean, of course, we can eat avocados in my countries. Of course, we can eat papayas also in Greece, but I mean, I saw some people from Greece, some chefs from Greece, but who can compete Kalamata olives, which are one of the best in Greece, who can compete, because Greeks for generations, for millenniums have eaten olives, and, polyphenols of olives are amazing. They, of course, then they can have avocados, but their body, the body of Mediterraneans is used to this food for generations. We can host, food from Africa, we can have in our menus, we can have restaurants, etc. But I think cooking with local products and with with the world vision, it's better. Cooking locally and thinking globally, I think.
I love this. By the way, well, I'm going to get, so a couple of quick questions here so one of the questions, very interesting, which is really about the intersection between developing local agriculture like this, supporting local agriculture, and certification for organics. Do you see that as an overlap, or do you see that as separate? What is the role of helping farmers become organically certified from a local perspective?
Yeah, I mean, my answer is going to be a little bit, I don't know. I have a lot of doubts about organic, and a lot of, I don't know, because I'm not a real expert, but I am an agronomist and I speak as agronomist. When I will take you an example, when I don't know, let's imagine then a plant, industrial, whatever, chemical plant in Italy explodes, and then we create this huge amount of chemical, how can I say, cloud. It is in Italy now, but in 24 hours it will come in Albania, and if the rain occurs, all this chemical, what residue, it will go in our land. How can we speak about organic food if everything goes on our land, in a land that is certified by certain, certified entities? It's very tricky. We have to eat local food. If we eat local food and we consume local food, of course it's organically. If we eat seasoned food, of course it's kind of organic food. It's natural, I mean, this kind of, some people create it in order to, to avoid and to shift people's mind into other, in order to buy more expensive, etc., etc. I know organic is okay, but I with my communities, with my people that we share thoughts and opinions, is that if we eat seasonally, and we respect the earth, we respect the dirt, we respect it, of course the earth will do its own cycle, and of course it regulates it itself. The earth needs to hibernate. We can't plant the earth all year along with tomatoes. It needs to breathe, it needs to create nitrate and nitrogen, etc., etc. It needs some time. So we have to respect the earth. We have to go back to our former and ancient methods and to respect the earth, to respect season, and to respect nature. Because if we are going by biological and organic food, what we're going to create, we're going to create plantations and hectares of certified land that we can have organic food that goes to the rich people, and one and 3/3 of the population of the world is going to eat crap. What we are going to do? Food is one of the reasons we have wars today. You know, we are changing the balances. So food is also political. We have to take in our hands the fate of the future of our children. So we have to think that, I mean, starting from these basic things, eating local food, eating seasoned food, sharing, creating communities, bringing children, bringing educators, and together, you know, chefs are going to have and are having a crucial part into changing the world, into changing the food systems. It's very important.
All right.
Sorry, because I speak.
That's okay. That's okay.
Sometimes I'm out of.
I have two really and two quick questions, because we're gonna have to wrap up here in a minute. What is the percentage of small scale farmers in Albania? Is it increasing or is it decreasing currently?
Unfortunately, is decreasing, but we still working a lot. Have you heard about Slow Food International? Slow Food International, together with organizations like yours, you are doing amazing job. I talked with Slow Food, and they knew about you and they respect what you are doing. We have to, connect together and create bigger communities and work and raise our voice. Yes, it's decreasing, especially after the pandemic, although we are offering and sustaining resilient, responses, but still we are seeing that a lot of farmers either are closing their farms, or now in these last years, let's say 3-4 years, we have opened a lot of agritourisms, and we are working with them, like having didactic, and bringing communities to see how certain agricultural processes are occurring and happening. Yes, it's growing. The agritourisms are growing. Albania is in Mediterranean, is between Greece and Italy, and we have an amazing food, and a lot of tourists are coming and having this kind of food tourism and watching visiting our mountains and our seaside, etc., etc. We still have low prices and offering satisfaction in terms of food and what to see around, and it's close to other countries, as Perfect. I mentioned, and yeah, at the same time, so we are working and with farmers in order to sustain them by different programs and projects, and keeping at least the young people in the rural areas, which is tough.
All right, one last question. You're gonna have like 1 minute, because I'm gonna run out of time. We're already over. We're having fun. And there's a question here about, what are the crops that are grown in your country that wouldn't be grown in Canada? But very specifically, I'm going to change that question a little bit and wrap up with this, which is, when you were doing your food blog, when you started your food blog, was there, just give us one product that maybe you discovered that you didn't know about, just to sort of get us thinking as chefs?
I found this very good beet. It's a beet. It is called the beet of sugar. I don't know exactly the name. I will procure it and I will give you later. During, who knows about Albania? Albania used to be a communist country for 40 years, and we were closed, and we didn't have sugar. And what our agronomist did was planting this kind of a beet which has contains melassa, or it's rich in sugar, and we we had sugar out of it, and
Mhm.
I refound it in southern of Albania, and I'm working to put in the Arc of Taste. Arc of Taste is a manual of products that are being threatened to be to disappear. So what we're doing now, we have a project in order to have this plant. It's plant it again and produce sugar, which is very, very, very good sugar. It has a like cane sugar, more or less. The color, it's brownish, and it's plant-based. It's amazing. So this is what I discovered, and I shared. And of course, at the same time, I
Interesting.
got a lot of opinions and thoughts from others, from people.
Wonderful. Well, we're gonna wrap up because we're over time, but that's what happens when we have exciting guests like you. So thank you. I will
Thank you very
just say a
much.
couple quick comments. I'm looking at the chats over here, and chefs, thank you for all of your chats and ideas. And Dorota, I don't know if you've seen on the chat or not, but a lot of people are agreeing with you. They're saying, oh yes, we do that in our country. Oh yes, we work with local farmers. There's a lot of wonderful things here. So absolutely, your words resonate. There was another comment about just the passion you have for what you're talking about, which is wonderful. So just a couple things. First of all, as we wrap up, I've talked about our curriculum before. And Dorota talked about, things like monocultures and biodiversity. And all that is in our sustainability curriculum and much, much more. So if you've not looked at that, please do. And of course, it is completely online as well today. With that, I'm going to say a huge thank you to all of you who have taken time out of your day from early in the morning to late at night, and everybody in the middle. Thank you. Thank you to Ayla and Lynn, who are in Paris. They're the ones behind the scenes who make absolutely everything happen. Without them, this wouldn't exist. And Dorota, a huge thank you to you for taking the time to be with us, inspire us, teach us, and move us towards action. So
thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
So everybody, we'll see you next month. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.